group, the Satanic Temple, unveiled this statue of Baphomet outside the state capitol.
Drag queen story time. It's happening in Canada.
Called, identified as Satan.
Katy Perry performs Dark Horse at the Grammys.
Blood Sneakers, Lil Nas X's
Glorious Secret Swim Special. 13 angels and dozens of bikinis will definitely heal.
Assailants bust through the door and demand money.
Killing 20 members of the same family.
What we're experiencing today, moral decay and widespread corruption, is more than just troubling. It's a turning point in human history. This isn't something random or accidental. It's the result of abandoning the ethical and religious values that have guided humanity for centuries. Since the time of Adam, divine teachings have pointed us toward purity and virtue. Yet repeatedly, humanity has turned away, choosing corruption and base desires instead. Take a moment to reflect. Think about the people of Lot, punished for their immorality, or the Roman Empire, which collapsed under the weight of widespread depravity and excess. Even the collapse of civilizations like the Babylonian Empire fell apart due to indulgence, or the Ottoman Empire, weakened by moral laxity and external pressures, reflect these patterns. These aren't just stories from the past. They're cautionary tales that show us what happens when societies lose their moral compass. Today, we see similar forces at work, but now they've taken new shapes through modern influences like Freemasonry and secularism. It's an unbroken chain of moral decline, reaching its peak in our time. Freemasonry has played a major role in driving this transformation. Aligned with secularism, they had relied on carefully orchestrated strategies to reshape societal values. Media and social engineering have been their primary tools, subtly distorting facts and gradually changing perceptions. Freemasonry's history dates back to its emergence from medieval stonemason guilds in Europe. By 1717, with the establishment of the Grand Lodge of England, it had evolved into a structured fraternity promoting ideals like fraternity, enlightenment, and charity. While these values often aligned with secular ideas, they clashed with religious traditions, fostering debates about prioritizing rationality over divine guidance. The influence of Freemasonry on revolutionary movements like the French and American revolutions underscores its historical impact. These revolutions also laid the groundwork for the secularization of laws and governance, creating environments where traditional religious values were no longer central to societal structures. Throughout history, women were seen as symbols of modesty and chastity. Think about the Victorian era, when propriety and family-centered roles were celebrated. Back then, moral and ethical standards were deeply ingrained in communities. Women played the main roles in nurturing families, shaping communities, and preserving traditions. They were seen in public spaces as symbols of respect, representing the behavior of their families and the wider community. In the Middle East, garments like abayas, jilbabs, and hijabs were loose-fitting and covered the body, including the hair and face. Similarly, in the Victorian era, women wore high-neck dresses with long sleeves and layered skirts, complemented by corsets, gloves, and shawls. Adultery brought severe consequences, especially for women, who could face public disgrace, be disowned by their families, and lose custody of their children. Men were not immune to repercussions either, as they risked damage to their reputation and legal complications. But today, those values have been systematically dismantled. Secularism has redefined priorities, undermining family structures and promoting troubling trends. Divorce rates have soared, family bonds have weakened, and crime rates, especially in urban areas, have spiked. Some cities are flooding with increasing cases of theft, violence, and all types of moral transgressions. Studies show that economic inequality worsens these moral problems, with struggling communities facing more crime and broken families. The economic effects are clear. Divorce cases overwhelm courts, while industries like pornography and fast fashion grow by taking advantage of the turmoil they contribute to. Women have been central to this strategy, given their profound influence on the ethical foundation of societies. Campaigns have reframed modesty as oppression, promoting liberation as the rejection of traditional family roles. The fashion and media industries promote the idea that empowerment comes from revealing clothing and physical appearance. The consequences are troubling. For instance, divorce rates in the United States hover near 50%, reflecting a shift from family-centered values to individualism. Movements like Slut Walk kill society's standards of modesty by advocating provocative clothing as empowerment, while platforms like OnlyFans normalize explicit content, treating women as commodities. A significant outcome of this moral decline is the rise of promiscuity that is fueling public health crisis, contributing to the spread of diseases like AIDS. UNAIDS reports that approximately 38.4 million people globally were living with HIV in 2021, with 1.5 million new infections that year. Legislation have supported these cultural changes by allowing behaviors like fornication and same-sex marriage, while reducing support for traditional family structures. Today, same-sex marriage is legal in over 30 countries, showcasing a growing acceptance of non-traditional family models. This allowance has raised significant public health concerns. Men who have sex with men account for a disproportionately high percentage of new HIV infections globally, with UNAIDS reporting that MSM are 26 times more likely to contract HIV than the general population. Education has also played its role in reinforcing these agendas. Religious teachings have been gradually taken out of curricula, replaced by secular ideas that emphasize unrestricted freedom and individualism. Children are introduced to sensitive topics at an early age through controversial sex education programs without parental consent. These changes have caused backlash, especially in the United States, where public schools are now centers of moral debates. On the other hand, in Africa and the Middle East, all educational systems are pushing back, including religious teachings alongside modern subjects to provide balanced views. Technology has amplified these trends even further. Social media platforms promote nudity, unveiling, and moral relativism, while pornography is easily accessible to all ages, including children. In 2019, one of the leading pornography websites reported that 1.36 million hours of new content were uploaded that year alone. Social media algorithms reinforce these trends, while platforms like Instagram promote unattainable beauty standards, fueling anxiety, depression, and a global rise in teenage suicide rates. Recent studies have even linked excessive screen time with deteriorating mental health among young people, further exacerbating the crisis. Freemasonry and secularism, beneath their polished facade of enlightenment and progress, are forces guided by Satan himself. These ideologies, veiled in reason and independence, work to eliminate all foundations of faith and morality. What appears as a cultural shift is in truth a spiritual battle waged in the hearts and minds of humanity. Freemasonry promotes a universalist view that diminishes divine truths, while secularism pushes religion from the public life. Together, they aim to cut humanity's connection to God, with religion standing as the ultimate barrier to their plans. Their promises of liberation hide a deeper enslavement to chaos, a deceptive light that conceals the shadow of destruction. To resist Freemasonry and secularism is to confront their true architect, Satan, and to defend the sacred bond between humanity and God. This is not merely a cultural clash, but a profound spiritual war, one that demands vigilance, wisdom, and steadfast faith.